What happens when a kid with LeBron-level hype, a body built for domination, and a franchise tailored to his strengths throws it all away? Zion Williamson was the NBA's next big thing, a 6'6", 285-pound phenom who broke sneakers, shattered records, and carried the hopes of New Orleans. The Pelicans gave him a max contract, surrounded him with stars like CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram, and built a team ready to chase titles. 6 years later, he's played less than half his games, never stepped foot in the playoffs, and looks more like he's prepping for a buffet than a championship run. From weight clauses to endless injuries, this is the story of how Zion's own choices are torching his legacy. Buckle up. This one's a roller coaster. Let's take it back to the beginning, when Zion Williamson was the most electrifying prospect since LeBron James. In high school, he was a viral sensation, a 6'3" junior in South Carolina, dropping 36 points and 11 rebounds a game. Kids fresh out of algebra didn't stand a chance against his dunks, blocks, and sheer power. His mixtapes racked up millions of views, turning him into a household name before he even picked a college. When he chose Duke, the hype only grew. At 6 feet 6 inches with a 45-inch vertical, Zion averaged 22 points on a ridiculous 68% shooting as a freshman. His fast break slams and chase-down blocks had fans losing their minds. In a 2019 game against North Carolina, with Steph Curry and Barack Obama watching, his Nike shoe exploded 36 seconds in, spraining his knee. That wasn't just a fluke. It was 285 pounds of force physics couldn't handle. Zion became the first freshman to win ACC Player of the Year, with the highest player efficiency rating in college history. When the Pelicans won the 2019 draft lottery, they saw him as their savior, the heir to Anthony Davis, destined to bring a title to New Orleans. Compared to LeBron and Charles Barkley, Zion was Mr. Perfect, humble, coachable, and unstoppable. Or so it seemed. Fast forward to January 22, 2020, and Zion's NBA debut lived up to the hype. Against the Spurs, he erupted for 22 points and 7 rebounds in just 18 minutes, including a jaw-dropping 17 straight points with 4 threes, a career high he's never matched. The Smoothie King Center was electric, and the Pelicans lineup with Zion led the league in net rating. He played 24 games that rookie year, averaging 22.5 points on 58% shooting, joining Jordan and LeBron as a teenage phenom. But the warning signs were already there. At 285 pounds, Zion was the NBA's second heaviest player, only behind 7 feet 4 inches Boban Marjanovic. His waddling gait put insane stress on his knees, and by the 2020 NBA bubble, he looked gassed. Against the Jazz, he grabbed 0 rebounds, a career first. Against the Clippers, he scored a measly 7 points. Charles Barkley, who knows a thing or two about weight struggles, quipped that Zion looked like he and Shaq had a kid. Social media buzzed with tubby jokes, and his defense was non-existent, lazy, and disengaged. The Pelicans, pegged as playoff contenders, went 2-6 in the bubble and missed the postseason. Zion's conditioning was a glaring issue, and it was about to get worse. The 2020-21 season showed Zion's potential when he was on. He averaged 27 points on 61% shooting, earning an All-Star nod as the 4th youngest starter ever. He had a 25-game streak of 20-plus points at 50% shooting, a feat only Shaq matched in 2001. His efficiency was unreal, and the Pelicans looked dangerous when he played. But his defense remained sluggish, and his weight kept stressing his body. In a game against the Warriors, he fractured his left ring finger going for a rebound, missing the final 6 games. The Pelicans' play-in hopes died, and exec David Griffin pointed fingers at refs for not protecting Zion from physical play. But the real culprit was obvious. Zion's 285-pound frame was a ticking time bomb. His mother, acting as his nutritionist, raised eyebrows, and while fans hoped the 20-year-old would slim down with the NBA's resources, trainers, chefs, doctors, the cracks in his discipline were starting to show. Still, one great season kept the doubters quiet. For now. Then came 2021 to 2022, a complete nightmare. Zion broke his right foot before the season, sidelining him for every single game. The Pelicans stumbled out of the gate, starting 3-16. Social media exploded with photos of Zion, rumored to be pushing 300 pounds. Fans in New Orleans, a city famous for its food, roasted him at Mardi Gras, painting him as a greedy slob. When the Pelicans traded for CJ McCollum to bolster the roster, Zion didn't even bother to call him. JJ Redick, a former teammate, ripped him as a detached teammate. Zion rehabbed in Portland, 2,000 miles from New Orleans, as his family clashed with the organization, unhappy with coaches Alvin Gentry and Stan Van Gundy. Van Gundy was fired after one season, partly because Zion's camp found him too strict. The Pelicans hired Willie Green, hoping to stabilize things, but Zion's absence tanked their season. Despite a late push to the play-in, they fell short without their star. The dream of a playoff run was dead, and Zion's professionalism was under fire. On his 21st birthday, July 6, 2022, Zion signed a 5-year, $231 million contract, with $193 million guaranteed. But the Pelicans, burned by his injuries, added a rare clause. Zion had to stay under 295 pounds or risk losing money. It was a stark sign of their concern. Zion vowed to lock in, promising not to let New Orleans down. The 2022-23 season started with a bang. The Pelicans went 18-8, topping the Western Conference with a 7-game win streak. They beat the defending champion Nuggets and took down the 64-win Suns twice in 3 days. Zion was a beast, averaging 30 points on 67% shooting, capping one Suns win with a 360 windmill dunk that had fans buzzing. CJ McCollum's leadership, Brandon Ingram's scoring, and Herb Jones's defense made the team a title contender. But 2 weeks later, Zion strained his right hamstring running up the court. He was expected to return quickly, but in February 2023, he re-aggravated it in practice. He sat out the rest of the season, including the play-in, where the Pelicans lost to OKC. A team that looked unstoppable in December missed the playoffs entirely. Zion's health had betrayed them again. The 2023-24 season was Zion's best yet. On paper, he played a career-high 70 games, and the Pelicans won 49 games, their most in the Zion era. He averaged 23 points on high efficiency, and the team gelled with McCollum, Ingram, and Herb Jones. But the weight issues never left. In the in-season tournament semifinals, LeBron James, 15 years older and 40 pounds lighter, dropped 30 points effortlessly, while Zion huffed and puffed for 13. Stephen A. Smith called out his bouncing belly at the free throw line, and Zion's former trainer threw shade on Instagram, reposting reports of Zion ignoring diet advice with a shrug emoji. Another post showed a slimmer Zion from a year earlier, captioned, "What happened?" The Pelicans fired Zion's athletic trainer after the season, a sign of deeper issues. Zion reportedly dropped 25 pounds mid-season, fueling a 32-19 run to close the year. But in the play-in against the Lakers, he erupted for 40 points, only to limp off with a hamstring injury late in the game. He missed the playoffs, where the Pelicans beat the Kings to sneak in, but got swept by OKC. Another golden opportunity slipped away. So why can't Zion break this cycle? It comes down to discipline, or the lack of it. Unlike LeBron, who played 1,400 games with obsessive focus, or KD, who stayed professional through injuries, Zion's had it too easy. At 13, his size and strength made him a lock for the NBA. He didn't need to grind like others. The red carpet was rolled out. Why slim down when he can drop 25 a night, looking like he just left a crawfish boil? With $193 million guaranteed, there's no financial pressure to change. He's not hungry for greatness, just comfort. Compare that to LeBron, who reached the finals by year 4, or Curry, a champion by year 6. Zion played 45% of his games, with 0 playoff minutes. His contract is locked in after July 2025, but his trade value is at an all-time low. Teams like the Pistons or Heat might take a flyer, but his injuries and off-court drama, more on that in another video, make him a gamble. He's in the same boat as Ben Simmons or DeAndre Ayton, wildly talented but content with mediocrity. Zion Williamson was handed a golden ticket, freakish athleticism, a $231 million deal, and a team built to dominate. But 6 years in, he's the NBA's biggest cautionary tale. His weight, injuries, and apathy have crushed a franchise and his own legacy. The Pelicans gave him everything: trainers, chefs, a perfect roster, and got nothing but headaches in return. At 25, he's got time to turn it around, but he's ignored every wake-up call so far. New Orleans fans, go drown your sorrows in some gumbo. What do you think? Can Zion still be a superstar, or is he too far gone? Drop your thoughts below and check out our next video on another NBA star's shocking collapse. I'm out.